one thing I wanted to say before getting started was this. I am by no means a subject matter expert when it comes to recording videos. Probably like many of you, I'm just learning one video at a time, trying different techniques and kind of figuring out what works best. So with that said, let me go ahead and share a few tips, few tips that I've learned along the way. The first of which is all about lighting. So ideally, when you are recording videos, you're going to want to find lighting that is ideally natural light is best, but it's all about the positioning. So you can see here, if I were to position my desk with the light coming, the natural light from my window coming directly behind me, you can see it's probably not the best setup. So what I want to do is find a different place in my office. Fortunately, I've got a desk here. Find a different spot in my office to do the remainder of this recording. Okay, so good. We have a different place in the office. It's better. But as you can see, my window is to the left of my desk. So, and I'll be honest, this is a wood desk. There's no moving this monstrosity. And clearly, if you look at the camera, the lighting is still unbalanced. So what I want to do in a case like this is to minimize those shadows. I can place a desk lamp to the opposite side of my desk. So here we go. Again, perhaps not the most flattering, right? A soft light is always ideal, but in this case, I'm using what I have, and to date, I've refused to use any new trendy video equipment. So honestly, I'll show you what I have. It's nothing more than a simple light set up here. What I can do to balance this out a little bit is either I can adjust the angle of the light, or this one happens to have an ability to change the light brightness. So I'm going to drop it all the way down as low as I can. And you can already start to see there's much more balance. You're definitely getting better when it comes to lighting. Still getting a little bit of variance there, some shadows. So you might want to even consider a secondary light. In this case, I do have an overhead light. So let me go turn that on and see what that might look like. Again, it's all about playing around with different options to figure out how you can best create a good light when you're looking at either doing this. Again, could be applicable to doing a video recording or even just simply being live on Zoom. So I'm looking at my camera and I'm seeing, yeah, much better. Lighting is definitely coming together. If you want to, again, play around with it, see what works best. Okay, so now that the lighting is good, let's consider another tip, and that's around the positioning of the camera. First, ensure that, well, first of all, everything in the background is professional and not distracting. I'm going to leave the, well, we'll just say it, bad examples of background to YouTube. What you'll want to do and keep in mind with background, it's going to vary, right? It's going to vary depending on your physical surroundings, your personal preferences, or even perhaps the video purpose. So in my case, I tend to believe that less is more, and my office walls, provide just a simple, nice, light background. Now, if you're not going to include any graphics in your videos, ideally you're going to want to position yourself, and I've got two cameras showing here, kind of a good and a bad example. But what you're going to want to do is position yourself in the center of the frame. So here would probably be a good alternative in my case. If you did, however, want to include some graphics in your video, you might want to reposition the camera so that you have some white space on the side of the screen here. Again, all about positioning, figuring out what you want to include when it comes to that, the space that you have around you. Okay, So reposition the camera takes us to the next best practice, which is around positioning. So you're going to want to think of the video screen like a frame. If you are going to include motion like pointing or counting 1, 2, 3, you want to make sure that it happens within the frame of the camera, right? This also is applicable to whether or not you want to include a physical object like a whiteboard. You want to make sure that you're going to be able to capture everything within that camera frame. Again, in one of my videos here, you see I've got plenty of white space from which to work with. I might even want to move over to the side a little bit to give myself even more room for that text. So I'm going to position myself right about here, it looks like. And the next thing I'm going to want to do is position myself horizontally and vertically so that I can have direct eye level contact with the camera. Ideally, you're going to want to have some space from the top of your head to around mid-torso is kind of the ideal location of what we might see a talking head. Camera 1 looks pretty good. If I needed to, I might want to adjust, 1 second here. I might want to adjust the height of my chair in order to give myself that 2/3 balance, both horizontally and vertically. Camera 1's looking pretty good, but let's take a look at camera 2, not so good, right? So here I might want to, well, first of all, let's ask the question, why on earth would I use a second camera? And the short answer is that 1, it gives you options, right? So if you want an audience to feel like they're joining in on a conversation with you, you can use that second camera either to the right or to the left of you to capture that look and feel as if you're talking directly to someone. The key is, again, just like we did with the straight on shot, is to position yourself horizontally and then also consider a 2/3 ratio. So I'm going to want to put the 2/3 on in front of me. What I wouldn't want to do is have the camera positioned over here so that, again, the space is all behind me. Take the angle, make sure that space on your second camera is in front of you. One thing we want to make sure we also consider is where we're making contact with the eye, even on that second camera. So here I'm a little bit low. I'm gonna, again, use what you have. So here's my 15-year service award. We're gonna use it a little bit more. I'm gonna use it a little bit more effectively. Turn it on its side. Perfect. Yes, I like it. So now we have some angles that are a little bit more balanced, both again, vertically and horizontally. And I've got some options when it comes to editing. I can have the angle where it looks like I'm speaking with another person. I can have the angle where I'm speaking directly to you as the audience. And that brings us to another tip number 4 if we're counting. So you're going to want to make eye contact with essentially your audience, which is nothing more in this case than your camera, right? So many of us will record either using a webcam on our computers, or maybe it's the phone in selfie mode. But in either case, it's a tendency just to look at ourselves the entire time. Trust me, we all do it. In fact, you might even find yourself in the Zoom session right now, rather than looking at me, you might be looking at your own video. Again, it happens. But when you are recording video, just make a conscious effort not to do that. The trick is really to look at the center of that camera, or the hole, which is where the lens of the camera will be. Trust me, it's going to probably feel weird to stare directly into that camera lens, but trust me when I say it will make you look as though you're peering and looking directly into your audience. So just to give you, again, the comparison, if I'm staring at myself, so my screen's over here to the left, If I'm looking at myself and I'm, yes, camera's good, lighting's good, but I lose that connection with you in the audience. So that brings me to ask a question, actually, or a poll. Does it appear as though that I'm reading from a script? Okay, I'm going to end those results. Now, here's the thing. There's pros and cons to using a script or the no script debate. If you choose to use one, here is a bonus tip. You're going to want to move the script as close to the camera lens as possible. Again, it's all about eye level, keeping contact with that camera. I'll show you an example. The saying is move the script as close to the camera as possible. No fancy equipment, no special teleprompter. This is honestly just a Word doc. You're not probably going to be able to see the words, but what you'll be able to see here in a minute is some actions that I take to make this happen, right? So basically I can change it so it's larger. I've adjusted the margins. I've even eliminated and unpinned the top there. So as you can see, this is all scripted out, but you probably wouldn't necessarily see that happening if you didn't take those specific actions. Just to prove the difference, what I will do is I will use a standard script for the next tip. So give me a moment. I'm going to make all this full screen. Again, the margins. And again, I'll try as best I can to read right from this Word document that you see here on the screen. Look at the difference. See if you can see my eye movement as compared to the previous portion of the conversation. Okay. Positioning camera 2 back. Okay, so we've got lighting good. We've fixed our background. We've positioned ourselves in the frame. If you want to appear more natural on camera, you're going to want to pretend like you're speaking with someone you know. So in other words, address the camera as if it were a person. Some even suggest placing a picture of someone you know right above the camera. So in my case, although this wasn't planned, I happen to have and I'll show you another picture again. I happen to have a picture of my family right above my webcam. So in this case, I could be talking to my granddaughter. Hey, Tori. Now, chances are much of what I just said and are continuing to say as I look directly into my camera again did not appear natural because I'm literally reading across my screen, or I'm trying to do so because again, my tendency is to try to look back up to that camera. So again, it's really best to avoid reading, and when possible, make sure that you are placing those talking points or outline, or if you want to use the full script, again, just try to put that as close to the camera as possible. And I will show you again those tips that I use to do so. So again, you can unpin the toolbar, change the margins. You know, there's best practices here as well. Typically a teleprompter script will read about 5 words per line. So again, it's whatever feels most comfortable for you. And then again, position that Word document so it is, you know, right up there by the camera. Okay, so I think we're on to tip number 6, if I'm counting correctly, and I'm actually going to tie the next 3 tips together. So this is 6, 7, and 8. Blink, smile, and move more than usual. So again, trust me, I'm in this bunch. For some of us, it can literally be daunting to speak into a camera. It feels unnatural. It's just different than being in a face-to-face, whether it's classroom or office setting. It's just different. So the tendency when this happens is we forget to do simple things like blinking or even breathing naturally. So what you're going to want to do before a recording is just, you know, take a couple deep breaths before starting that video or turning on that Zoom connection. Try to remember to just blink. I find myself sometimes I get so into the conversation that, you know, and especially staring at computer screens, we tend not to blink as much. You're going to want to try to appear as though you are most natural in front of the camera. So blinking just makes it seem like you're not staring at your audience. That would not be so good. Also, take a moment, smile. That can help to remove that uncertainty that you might be feeling. And quite frankly, it just adds a bit of friendliness to your voice. I can remember back to my earlier career in sales, and our management suggested we even place a mirror in front of our desk so that we'd be able to feel as though we were talking to somebody when we're talking to our clients. Speaking on camera is no different. So remember to smile and also consider those nonverbals on camera. When it comes to movement, like I said, always consider your camera frame or your picture frame. And the suggestion that I have here is just figure out how to find a balance. Clearly, you don't want to be, moving around, fidgeting while you're on camera. That's probably going to make you appear more nervous. But you don't want to just sit, stiff as a board either. It's tricky. So the best advice that I can give to you for this one is just simply to record yourself and figure out what makes you appear more and most natural. Do keep this in mind though. Sometimes feeling unnatural actually looks the most natural. So let me repeat that again. And for those of you who have been in photography know that again, sometimes the most unnatural position on camera, whether it's in front of a video or a still camera, feels and looks the most natural, although it feels unnatural. So in this case, again, practice makes perfect. Just try a few recordings, watch them back, and pick up those different things here and there, and you can adjust accordingly. The last two tips are all about the audio. So again, what you're going to want to do is select a microphone option, whether it's the internal computer, the webcam, maybe you have a lapel mic, or in my case, a headset that is going to produce the best audio quality, and try to eliminate background noise. You heard my phone going off earlier at the top of the hour. Oh, and I know why. I was going to say, I just got this beautiful grandfather clock in my office. And while it's beautiful, if I do a recording at the top of the hour, and especially at noon, thankfully the weights are down at the bottom, so it did not go off. But if it was fully charged, it would take me a good minute to figure out either how to speak over the chimes or to simply wait it out. So you're going to want to try to eliminate that background noise and try different options with your audio until you find the best combination that works when you listen back to that recording. I'll give you one example of a lesson learned, I guess. Make sure that the microphone that you select in the recording platform is what you intend it to be. So if, for example, I select another microphone, and I perhaps select my earbuds and I don't actually have them on at the moment, you can clearly see that very quickly I can lose the audio quality. So always go back, look at the selection of the headphones and microphone that you're wanting, and make sure that you have a good audio connection there. That's probably much better. So the last tip that I want to share with you today is all about the speed of the voice. So when you talk really quickly, it can reflect your excitement about the subject that you're talking about. That can be very captivating for an audience, but if it goes on for too long, it can quickly become overwhelming. And quite frankly, the audience is just gonna not grasp your entire message. And conversely, again, this is no rocket science here, but if you talk too slowly and for a long period of time, and perhaps even monotone, you're going to bore your audience, perhaps put them to sleep. So the trick is to mix it up. mix it up within your speaking. Again, listen to yourself in that recording, and you can quickly pick up some tricks that you might want to incorporate the next time that you do the next video. Also, don't forget to pause between the statements. This goes back to tip, I think it was number 8, where I said, don't forget to breathe, right? Pause between the statements. That's going to become in super handy when it comes to editing. And that is a topic that we'll save for part 2. In the meantime, we've got about 5 minutes left. Let me just take a quick minute to recap again those top 10 tips for surviving this video environment, and not just surviving, but maybe even thriving in this video environment. 1, don't be left in the dark. It's all about lighting and ensuring that you have good quality lighting around you. 2, consider what's behind you. So make sure that you've got your background all set, and ideally in the right position, such that you can incorporate whether it's the text or anything around you. Frame yourself. Again, make sure that you've got an opportunity to do all that you want to do with that video. Take a second camera so that you can have that alternative video stream when you are doing your edits. Number 4, make eye contact. Stay eye level with that camera when at all possible. And ideally, again, pretend that you're talking to someone. The audience is on the other side of that lens. So don't forget those. 6, 7, and 8 was blink, smile, and move more than usual. Again, that's going to make you more natural and also just an authentic experience. And then 9 and 10 was all about the audio. Ensure that you have the optimal audio set, and that when you're delivering the message in the word, that the speed is ideal. So that wraps up part 1 of this closing. I would like to just take a moment and give you some homework. I bet you probably weren't expecting that, but here's what I would like you to do. Honestly, one of the best things you can do is record yourself and then play back that footage so you can see how you look on camera. It allows you to, see those things that you need to improve, and also it will allow you to be just simply more comfortable talking in front of the camera. And trust me, that comfortable feeling doesn't happen overnight. Some suggest that you have to record, best practice, a 2-minute selfie on your phone for 30 days. Then you'll start to see the progress. You can compare that first to the last video to see how much progress you've made. If anyone's willing to take on that challenge, email me. If you take it on, I'll do the challenge as well. Or if you want an easier assignment, just simply take 2 to 5 minutes. Make a video, watch it back. Just remember, there is no such thing as a perfect video. Plus, honestly, the flaws reflect an authentic and more natural presence on camera. So if you make a mistake, just simply stop the recording and start over. Or if you would like, join me for part 2. I will cover some basic editing tools that you can use in your videos to take them to the next level.